p.m. Eastern, Houston Texans 0-2, 0-1 on the road. The Jacksonville Jaguars 1-1, 0-1 at home at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. 83 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 8 miles per hour. Let's move over to the line history here for this one. We have let's move over here. Wow, we're at 10 now. Now, this 10 is not a real 10, but because Jacksonville's at plus 108. Houston at plus 10 has gone from minus 110 to minus 122. This was at minus 129. This had moved 19 cents in the Texans' direction. With that being said, I would be interested to see what Bet Chris has done with this as well. When did they put this line out? They put this line out on Sunday at 6:53. They opened it at 9 and 9.5, 9. This went down to 8.5 at Bet Chris today. And it's back up at 9.5. So it's going to point in the Jacksonville Jaguars direction. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Okay, let's move over to the total here in this one. We are sitting at a 43.5. This opened up at 45.5, and it's dropped 2 points to 43.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this spot. On the total, you have 59% of the tickets and 57% cash on the over, yet it's moving towards the under. And on the spread, you have 37% of the tickets, but 47% cash on the Texans. Ron Crawford says 17-3 spreadsheet spot for Jacksonville. All right, Jarek White looking at Jacksonville minus 4.5 first half. So the Texans come in off a 31-20 loss at home to the Colts. C.J. Stroud had a monster effort in the loss. Pretty impressive. Finished 30 of 47 for 384 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now he did fumble twice, and he lost one of them. Nico Collins caught 7 passes for 146 yards and a touchdown. Robert Woods caught 6 for 74. And Tank Dell caught 7 for 72 and a touchdown out of Houston. Unfortunately, the Texans got nothing out of their running game at all. So 52 yards off of 26 carries. And even with that, they still went 9 of 19 on third down. They still outgained the Colts 389 to 353, but they were just 1 of 4 in the red zone. The offensive line was horrific. I mean, it was as bad as any offensive line this year. Stroud was sacked 6 times. He was hit 9 other times. It's all backups. They lost 4 starters to the line during camp, and then Laramie Tunsil out on Sunday because of a knee injury. He's day-to-day right now, so he's not being ruled out or anything. But D'Amico Ryan's defense was useless. Must just be driving him crazy. The Colts were a perfect 4-4 in the red zone. They finished with no sacks and no tackles for a loss. Will Anderson Jr. got the only quarterback hit. Eric Murray, their safeties in concussion protocol. We'll have to wait on that. Jacksonville comes in off a tough 17-9 loss at home to the defending champion Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence, 22 of 41 for 216 yards, no touchdowns. He also ran 5 times for 26 yards, fumbled twice, losing one of them. Christian Kirk caught 11 passes for 110 yards. Nevin Ingram caught 6 for 57. Etienne ran 12 times for 40 yards. The offense had a tough day, and it was because they weren't moving the ball on the ground. Every team that we talk about that was incapable of moving the ball on the ground lost badly. They couldn't move the ball on the ground. They had 1 first down on the ground all game long. They were just 3 of 14 on third or fourth down. They were 0 of 3 in the red zone. In the red zone, 3 trips to the red zone, Trevor Lawrence was 0 for 7 through the air. 0 for 7. The offensive line had a difficult time handling Chris Jones. And unfortunately, it was Anton Harrison, the rookie's responsibility for a lot of that game. Jones finished with a sack and a half and 5 quarterback pressures. We talked about the Jaguars' weak offensive line often, but the defense played the Chiefs tough. They held them to 4 of 13 on third down, 2 of 4 in the red zone. They finished 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Andre Sisco had an interception. This game does not appeal to me in any which way, but I don't see why there wouldn't be points in this one. And watching this total drop to 43.5 is another one of the totals that surprised me. I did not expect it to drop. The Texans just look so weak defensively, and the Jaguars need that breakout, confidence building offensive victory. Take it away for us here, Troy. Texans, Jags.
Me, kind of where I'm sitting at with the Jags. I've been talking about shorting the Jags, and I'm probably going to continue looking for spots to short the Jaguars, but I don't know that this is the spot to do so. I think that if I knew that this Texans team was going to be healthy 100%, I would be taking the points. But there's a reason this line is bouncing around, and now it's heading back towards 10. I think it's likely going to close around where it is right now. I'm not in the same boat as a lot of people who are high on this Jags team. The pass block, I mean, the blocking's awful. Let's start with that. 23rd and 31st in pass block and run block. They allowed a 41% pressure rate, and ETN in the backfield, man. This guy's not a disciplined back. He's the exact opposite of patient. Like the patient specimen that Chubb is, ETN is not. I mean, if he was more patient, I mean, he would be a much more effective running back, but he's just not that guy. And he continues to show that. And I love the guy. I think he has a bunch of talent. I just don't think he's a good back at this point. Lawrence with a 17 QBR last week. I mean, I think the word is out on Trevor Lawrence and this Jags team. How do you beat them? How do you handle that offense? You blitz Trevor Lawrence. He was blitzed 18 times last week. He had 10 poor passes, which was the worst in the NFL. Only averaged 4.3 yards per attempt. And I think a lot of these metrics are a reflection of the offensive line more than it is Trevor Lawrence, because I was preaching, I had high praises for this guy last year. But after watching this offense for 2 years now, it's the same story, man. I mean, even if you go back to last year, he was inefficient when he was blitzed. On defense, I mean, these guys are playmakers on defense. The Jaguars team on defense just comes down to making plays, and they only get, I mean, the pass rush is ranked 28th right now, only getting pressure on 13% of opponent team passes. And the Texans, you talked about CJ Stroud having a much better game, which was great to see. But the Colts, after they got the lead, you could see that they pulled off the reins on the defensive side, played a little bit of a shell defense. Now you still got to be able to make throws and handle the pressure that he was getting, and he was able to make those throws. So maybe that is a little bit of a confidence builder for the Texans. But I'm with you, Jimmy. I'm not willing to bet this game.
When it comes down to it, after talking it out and listening to the chat and listening to you and sitting with all the information, a free bet, I take the Texans here. And I think both of a lot of these cappers in the chat are saying real legit things. Saturated says hard to lay a 9 here with the Jags. Sky Dragon says I still don't trust Jacksonville to lay big numbers, so he's on Houston. He said, but Sky Dragon also likes the under. Says he has questions about Jacksonville offense, which I get. It's just that Stroud's wild. He's making plays happen. He's pushing the ball deep down the field. He's got wide receivers that are exciting and they're creating connection with. And if they score, then the Jags will be forced to score. Birdie says Jags heading to London for 2 weeks as well. Heads will be elsewhere. 10 is a lot of points facing a 2-week Euro trip. Big number versus a bad team facing a 10-hour flight and organizing 2 weeks in England. I mean, that's all completely legit. So, yeah, I do not want the Texans. That's sort of the only way I could look right now. I'm going to be very interested in, what happens with the cash and what happens with the line on this. I'm certainly not moving on the Texans tonight. I'm surprised that people don't think that Stroud and Trevor Lawrence can put some points up in this game. I am. But I'm not going to go up against this market move to the under. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to be off of that over regardless here. So, all right, let's move on.